While the world watches Yellowstone's whims, a real killer volcano is preparing to strike near the American coast. The latest seismologist data is shocking. The number of underground tremors in this place has reached a critical 500 earthquakes per day. For the first time in 30 years of observations, scientists predict with mathematical precision a catastrophe of planetary scale. This underwater volcano shows all signs of imminent awakening, and the sea floor is rising at a rate of 25 centimeters per year. This is 10 times faster than usual. Experts are unanimous. An eruption could occur before the end of 2025. This will be the first underwater eruption of such magnitude in human history that can be observed in real time. But the most frightening thing is that this volcano has been ignored for decades, considered an invisible threat. While all attention is riveted to terrestrial giants, real danger has appeared where it was least expected. What is happening underwater literally off the US coast? How dangerous is the awakening of this underwater monster? And which countries besides America will suffer if this volcano awakens to full power? For a not very clear reason, or possibly due to a certain media hysteria, the attention of the entire global volcanic community has been riveted for several years now to the Yellowstone supervolcano, which may or may not explode, but which everyone is watching very closely. There's also the San Andreas Fault and the Cascadia subduction zone, from which everyone has been expecting something lately. However, in reality, the US has an actually erupting volcano that will explode practically any moment now. This volcano is called Axial. It is located under the waters of the Pacific Ocean on the underwater Juan de Fuca Plate, 480 kilometers west of the Oregon coast. Axial is at a depth of 1,400 meters. Its height is about 700 meters. The volcano forms a rectangular caldera 3.8 kilometers in size, surrounded by rift zones. To the north of the volcano are underwater hydrothermal vents, due to whose activity it was accidentally discovered in 1983. Axial is that very case when the most dangerous thing hides in plain sight, or rather underwater. For a long time, Axial remained in the shadow of its terrestrial counterparts for one simple reason: it couldn't be seen. While terrestrial volcanoes demonstrate their power with fiery fountains and columns of ash, Axial does its work in the absolute darkness of ocean depths. But what hides underwater is capable of shocking even experienced volcanologists. Axial is part of a unique natural phenomenon. It stands simultaneously on a mantle hotspot and on the ridge of an oceanic ridge. This combination is extremely rare and makes the volcano a real hotspot in the literal sense. According to Professor William Wilcock of the University of Washington, it is precisely such volcanoes that make scientists worry most. Axial's caldera is a real hell on Earth. Hydrothermal vents with temperatures over 500 degrees Celsius. This is one of the most extreme environments on the planet where water can boil instantly. But most importantly, Axial is preparing to show the world its true power. And here's what scientists say. Over the past 30 years, Axial has erupted 3 times with mathematical precision in 1998, 2011, and 2015. If volcanic eruptions could be entered into train schedules, Axial would receive an award for punctuality. Every 7-8 years, it's like setting an alarm clock and reminding the world of its existence with a powerful underwater explosion. In 2015, a team of geophysicists from Oregon State University, for the first time in the history of volcanology, accurately predicted the eruption of an underwater volcano. Before each eruption, Axial literally swells like a balloon. This phenomenon is called volcano inflation, and in Axial it occurs with amazing regularity. In 2019, a research vessel was sent to the volcano for detailed study of this phenomenon, which conducted a complete 3D scan of the underwater giant. The results exceeded all expectations. The last eruption in 2015 was truly impressive, although invisible to the human eye. In 24 hours, scientists recorded about 10,000 small earthquakes. Magma flowed from the volcano for an entire month, stretching 40 kilometers across the seafloor. The seafloor subsided 2.5 meters like a giant pillow from which air was released. Interestingly, all 3 recent eruptions of Axial occurred in the period from January to April, when Earth is farthest from the Sun. Today, Axial shows all signs that it is preparing for a new grandiose eruption, and scientists are observing this process in real time like doctors monitoring a patient's pulse. In November 2023, what volcanologists had been waiting for with anxiety happened. Geophysicist William Chadwick noticed that Axial's surface had swelled almost to the same level it reached before the 2015 eruption, but real alarm began later. Since autumn 2023, and especially since January 2024, both volcanic swelling and seismic activity began to grow at a threatening rate. By July 2024, the swelling rate increased to 25 centimeters per year. This is 10 times faster than usual. If previously several dozen earthquakes occurred in the axial area per day, now their number reaches several hundred daily. Moreover, sometimes the number of underground tremors exceeds 500 per day. This means that underwater one earthquake occurs every 3 minutes around the clock without breaks or weekends. A special service has been created to monitor this process, which is a real underwater observatory. A network of sensors connected by fiber optic cables transmits data in real time. Modern technologies allow not only tracking traditional signs of eruption, but also using artificial intelligence to analyze seismic patterns. Machine learning algorithms compare current data with those that preceded the 2015 eruption, and the results are more than alarming. All indicators point to an imminent eruption with force more than 10 times greater than previous eruptions. Scientists have also determined the time window of the forecast. An eruption can occur at any moment between today and the end of 2025. When Axial awakens, this will become an event of planetary scale. When magma breaks through the sea floor, the water temperature at the epicenter will instantly rise to 1,200 degrees Celsius. This is 3 times hotter than copper's melting point. Contact of molten lava with icy ocean water will create powerful steam explosions that will be heard for tens of kilometers around. The eruption of Hunga Tonga volcano in 2022 was only a rehearsal for the spectacle that ocean depths are preparing. Then one underwater mountain ejected 150 million tons of water vapor into the stratosphere, rising to a height of 55 kilometers. For comparison, this is 3 times higher than passenger aircraft flights. If Axial awakens, its destructive force will spread in waves of catastrophe across the entire Pacific Ocean, affecting the lives of 1.5 billion people in 23 countries. Recent seismologist data shows that the eruption will create a cascade of climate anomalies that will change the geopolitical map of the world in a matter of months. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has presented shocking calculations. An underwater eruption of magnitude 9 in the volcanic zone is capable of generating tsunamis up to 30 meters high. These water walls of death will reach the shores of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California in 15-20 minutes after the eruption. The USA will be at the epicenter of a first-level catastrophe. The western coast from Alaska to California will turn into a zone of total destruction. Seattle, a city with 750,000 inhabitants, will receive a hit from a 15-meter tsunami 18 minutes after the eruption. Portland, with a population of 650,000, will be cut off from the world for weeks. All bridges across the Columbia River will be destroyed by a water wall 20 meters high. San Francisco, the economic heart of California with a 7 million population agglomeration, will face a double blow. First, a tsunami will flood coastal areas. Then seismic waves will activate the San Andreas Fault, creating an earthquake of up to 8.5 magnitude. Silicon Valley, where 40% of the world's IT capital is concentrated, may be paralyzed for months. Canada will feel the blow on its Pacific coast with terrible consequences. Vancouver will meet a 12-meter tsunami 22 minutes after the eruption. The Port of Vancouver, the largest in Canada and 4th largest in North America, will be completely destroyed. This will paralyze Canadian wheat exports, which will immediately affect world food prices. Japan, despite being 8,000 kilometers away, will be under direct attack. The experience of the Hunga Tonga eruption showed that tsunamis from underwater volcanoes can cross the entire Pacific Ocean while maintaining destructive force. The eastern coast of Honshu will receive waves 3.5 meters high, which will lead to evacuation of 5 million people and shutdown of 15 nuclear power plants. Economic consequences for Japan will be catastrophic. The ports of Tokyo, Yokohama, and Osaka, through which 60% of Japanese exports pass, will be closed for weeks. The country's automotive industry, producing almost 10 million cars per year, will stop due to disruption of logistics chains. China will face climate chaos of unprecedented scale. Volcanic ash in the stratosphere will block sunlight over East Asia, reducing temperature in the region by 24 degrees for a period of up to 3 years. Coastal megacities of China will receive a tsunami blow 2-3 m high. This may seem insignificant, but for cities located practically at sea level, such a wave means flooding of industrial zones and temporary halt of production that provides 28% of global GDP. South Korea will be in a triple strike zone. Tsunamis 4-6 m high will crash on the ports of Busan and Incheon. The country's shipbuilding industry, controlling 35% of the global market, will be paralyzed. But the main threat is to the semiconductor industry. Samsung and SK Hynix, producing 60% of digital memory, may stop production due to disruption of power supply and logistics. Australia and New Zealand will face an agricultural crisis. Changes in ocean currents after the eruption will disrupt monsoon cycles, leading to drought in eastern regions of Australia. New Zealand, whose economy is 65% dependent on agriculture, will lose up to $30 billion due to climate anomalies. Latin America will feel the blow through the butterfly effect. Peru and Chile, despite the distance, will receive tsunamis 1-2 m high, leading to port closures and halt of copper exports. This will immediately affect world prices for metals and electronics. Ecuador and Colombia will lose markets for bananas and coffee due to disruption of trade routes across the Pacific Ocean. Russia, while formerly being safe, will suffer colossal economic losses. Far eastern ports Vladivostok and Nakhodka will receive tsunamis 1-3 m high, but main losses will be connected with collapse of world trade. Exports of Russian oil, gas, and grain through Pacific routes will decrease by 70-80%, which will cost the budget $150–200 billion. The European Union will face a wave of climate refugees and trade chaos. 15–20 million people from affected regions of Asia may try to migrate to Europe, creating a humanitarian crisis exceeding the Syrian migration by 10 times. EU economic losses from trade disruption with Asia will amount to 800 billion euros. This is more than the combined GDP of Spain and the Netherlands. Mathematical models of climatologists show that an eruption with an index of 8 points can reduce global temperature by 3–7 degrees for a period of up to 5 years. This will lead to collapse of agriculture in the northern hemisphere, mass population migrations, and socio-economic chaos of planetary scale. The uniqueness of underwater eruptions lies in their ability to simultaneously cool and heat the planet. Ash in the stratosphere blocks sunlight, causing cooling, but simultaneously billions of tons of water vapor enter the atmosphere, intensifying the greenhouse effect for a decade ahead. But Axial's story is only the tip of the iceberg in the huge underwater world that humanity is just beginning to understand. Today, scientists know the location of more than 19,000 underwater volcanoes, but their real number may exceed 1 million. For comparison, on land, there are only about 4,000 volcanoes, including extinct ones. Underwater volcanoes produce 12–15 times more lava gases and pyroclastic material than their terrestrial counterparts. They literally build our planet, creating new seafloor at a rate that boggles the imagination. Every day, several small eruptions occur in the oceans that we don't even suspect. In January 2022, the eruption of Hunga Tonga volcano in the Pacific Ocean became one of the most powerful in the last 30 years. The sound of this eruption was heard at distances up to 10,000 kilometers farther than from Moscow to Vladivostok. Waves circled the entire planet twice, and the shock wave made 4 revolutions around Earth. Damage from this eruption amounted to about $90 billion, but what's even more important, a huge amount of water vapor was ejected into the atmosphere, which is a greenhouse gas and can affect global climate. Today, the surface of Mars is studied better than the bottom of our oceans. detailed maps of the seafloor are compiled for only 25% of its area. The paradox of modern civilization is that we learn to predict weather a week ahead but remain helpless before underwater volcanoes that can change climate for years. And who knows, perhaps this underwater giant will present us with several more surprises that will force us to rewrite geology textbooks. If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel.